as we typically do in our examples, I'm now going to show you an illustration or an example where black tries to make things a little bit more difficult for white. Here we have a position where the king is in the center of the board and the white queen and king are still not optimally placed to checkmate. How do we win this position as quickly as possible? Now, you might be saying, well, if the queen moves like the rook, then I simply have to move the queen like a rook and I'll be able to checkmate the king. And you're absolutely right. But because the queen is such a powerful piece, there's actually a quicker and more efficient way of checkmating the king. The tip or the strategy is to imagine that the queen has the ability to check the black king as if it were a knight. What do I mean by that? With white to move in this position, white chooses to play queen to g4. And now we get to see what I was trying to explain. If the queen were a knight in this position, the queen is actually checking the black king. Correct? Exactly. So how does this help us corner the king and take away squares as quickly as possible? Notice that by moving to g4, the queen is taking away all the squares from the fourth rank and also all the squares from the g file. And slowly but surely, we're going to corner the opponent's piece. So it's black to move, and let's say he chooses to play king to d6. How should white proceed here? We simply visualize a check by a knight with the queen. So now we have the option of either playing queen to e4 or queen to f5. We'll play queen to e4. Notice, and remember, if the queen were a knight, this would be check, correct? And that's the strategy. Notice that by moving the queen as if it were a knight, we are taking away squares away from the king. So black plays again, and let's say he plays king to d7. Once again, we play queen to e5. If the queen were a knight, that would be check. And notice how slowly but surely we've taken away squares from the king. King to c6. And now it might look like things are being made difficult, but not at all. Once again, we follow our strategy as if it were a knight. And notice how the squares are slowly but surely being taken away from the opponent's king, and we're reaching our goal. King to b5, once again. Queen c3, following our plan. And white is still winning this game. King b6, queen c4, as if it were a knight. King b7, queen c5. If the queen were a knight, that would be check. Notice how the squares are... Notice how white is slowly reaching towards his goal. King to b8. And now, white plays queen to d7. Only a little bit of imagination required in this one, because obviously the knight's L move is extended. But once again, we've reached our objective, which is to corner the king. And now all we need is a little bit of teamwork, and white will win this game. We bring the king over. It's very simple. We follow the king. And in this position, you win the game by playing queen to b7. You could go over this example a couple more times to grasp the concepts, but it's very easy to understand. Remember that if it's difficult for you to recall that the strategy or the tip is to move the queen like a knight, you could always move the queen like a rook, and you'll be able to checkmate the opponent's king. Good luck with this example.